Hey y'all, this is, did I just say hey y'all? I guess I just did. Hey y'all, this is Michael Conrad, the Diligent Inspector, coming to you today to talk about one of the comments that we got here from our YouTube channel. A guy talking about school. In-person, virtual school, which one should he go to? I would say that this is probably one of the more common questions. I honestly, on the forums, on the Facebook groups, there's pretty much just a number of super common questions that come up. What school do you use? What software do you use? And then, of course, everyone's favorite, do you use Home Advisor? Which, of course, if it was in an actual room, it would be lots of boos because it always gets scathing remarks. But I thought this question was interesting, and like a lot of the topics I talk about here, it led me to think about something else, which I think is a deeper layer, a deeper issue, and quite honestly, a deeper problem in our industry. The question was, should you go to an in-person school or a virtual school? Do you take your classes to get your license or to get your training or your certification online or in person? Honestly, if you're coming here for an answer, I don't have one because there really isn't a right answer for this one. It's really just about do what makes you feel comfortable. But really, what I want to impress upon you is that it's not about the school. It's not about the school. There are a lot of schools out there. I mean, I was doing a little research for this video and like, oh my gosh. Everyone has a school and they want you to pay them so they can teach you to become a home inspector. It sort of reminds me of the gold rush days, right? You've heard this, who made the most money at the gold rush? It wasn't the miners, it was the people who sold the shovels and the pans to the miners. So yes, everyone and their mother has got a school out there and they're dying for you to pay them so they can teach you how to become a home inspector. So let's see, ITA, ICA, the ASHI School, you've got InterNACHI, you've got Home Inspection Institute, you've got AHIT, that's probably one of the biggest ones, McKissick, Kaplan, I mean, the list goes on and on. Those are just some of the ones that have been around the longest. Many of them actually have both in-person options and online options. Some of my guys who trained with my company came from ITA and ICA. A lot of us did the InterNACHI training, which is very easy to onboard. ASHI School has a great reputation for both their online education, but really for their in-person education, no surprise there. Honestly, it's all kind of the same to me. And here's the crux of it. This isn't really about the classes you take. This isn't really about the certifications that you get or the badges that you can put on your website. No, this is about that gets you to zero. When people call and start asking me about maybe getting hired on in our company or maybe they have questions about how to become a home inspector, what I tell them is that the classes, the certifications, even the license, that's zero. That gets you to zero, meaning that you are in the negative when you don't know information. And the classes that you take and the information that you learn, that doesn't qualify you to become a home inspector. Now, many of us, including myself, and maybe you too, that's all you had. and good for me and good for you and good for those that do that. But the truth is, many, many people are not qualified to be a home inspector, can go out there and make few mistakes with just the online classes or just the in-person classes. It's just not enough. There's just not enough information that you can get. You can't memorize a list of defects long enough. You can't learn all the information about all the different components quick enough to be qualified to be able to become a home inspector. I mean, how silly for me and maybe for some of you. I just hung a shingle out one day. I'm just a home inspector. Yesterday I wasn't, today I am. This is a problem in our industry. The problem is people are launching into the business thinking that it's an easy on-ramp. Take a few classes, get a few certifications, you're ready to go. But the truth is you're not. What I'm getting at is that the book knowledge isn't enough to get you started. You need that training. But here's the problem. Here's the big problem. Where do you get the training? There's nowhere to get it. There's nowhere. If you want to start your own thing, there's hardly anywhere where you can get training. Now, some states have a training and an apprenticeship requirement. You have to do so many number of inspections under a licensed inspector before you're allowed to apply for a license. I actually think this is a really good idea. Now, this is a problem from an economy standpoint and from a barrier to entry standpoint. It's harder to become a home inspector if you have to get 100 inspections under your belt like you do up in Massachusetts. But ultimately, what it ends up doing is producing a lot more qualified guys and gals out there. And honestly, that's what we probably need. Now, training, I think, is probably going to be one of the next big areas that we're going to see pop up. We're going to see a lot of operations pop up around training. Maybe it's online training. Maybe it's in-person training, but more focused on process, more focused on how you do the inspection, more focused on where the pitfalls come when you're doing the inspection, rather than just here's the book knowledge, about, this, that, and the other thing. Now, one of the areas, and I am a little biased, one of the areas where you can get training is by joining on with a company. We've had another problem in this industry where the only thing that people think that they can do is start their own business, which is great. And if you want to start your own business, you have my support. Honestly, it has been great for me and it can be great for you. However, you can have a great career. You can have a lot of autonomy. You can make great money. You can have great perks, great benefits by working for another company. I'd encourage you to, if you're just getting into the business, or maybe you're just thinking about starting in, I'd encourage you to consider that might be a good option for you. And no, I'm not talking about the classic idea of get on with a company for a couple years and then go out on your own. A lot of times that's just not going to work. There's not a lot of companies that are interested in hiring you and then training you and then 2 or 3 years later releasing you to go be the competition. And that's actually why training has been such a difficult thing to get for so long. Maybe you're new to the industry. Maybe you want to call up someone locally to you so that you can do a ride along, but they don't want to meet with you because you're the competition. So you got to travel to another state, to another marketplace so that you can get that training. It's difficult, but there is a place for training. And it can be found oftentimes with some of maybe the larger operations, the larger multi-inspector firms in your area. I'd invite you to consider it because we find that ultimately you can get a lot of great information when you're working under an experienced licensed home inspector for an extended period of time. So I guess the answer to the question from that guy on our YouTube channel is virtual, in person, which is better. Personally, I found that virtual makes a lot of sense. Maybe you're the type that likes to learn more in a classroom, and I support that. But ultimately, if the classroom time is really only about getting to that 0 point, then whatever way's the fastest, maybe whatever way's the cheapest. I think a lot of times we forget that the classroom time shouldn't be the only information we're taking in before we join this business. And so if it is, well, obviously, do whatever is going to leave the lasting impression on you. But if you're anything like me and believe that the training is such a big part of it, and maybe you're thinking about getting on with a company, get through the training as quick as possible. Do virtual, do whatever. Because ultimately, what this industry needs is more boots on the ground training and a lot less people just launching out with only classroom time under their belt. So I'm interested to see what you think, because I know a lot of you probably launched, like I did, without training. Now, I'm curious to see if experience was your friend or if experience hurt. Because the training that I got was just experiential, was just failing and making mistakes and hopefully climbing out on top after I made them. So yeah, so hit the comments. Let me know what you guys think. I'd be interested to hear what your journey was. Find us on Facebook at The Diligent Inspector. Like us there for more videos like this. Or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you next time.